Surprise, everybody. I'm not in my car sitting after work or driving in the dark, but you will still get those videos. I'm just taking this opportunity. It's Saturday. You're not watching this on Saturday, but I'm recording a couple episodes while I am in my studio. I've prepped and I want to talk about propaganda. Do I talk about that too much? No, because propaganda is the key to manipulation. It's how you get people, you lie to people and get them to believe lies, believe falsehoods, and get them to even sacrifice their lives in a meaningless war for something that's untrue. It's insane, but this is going to be a short one. I'm going to just read this article and reiterate something. Armenia, Artsakh ombudsman release ad hoc report on Azerbaijani attacks on journalists. All right, before I read this article, I'm going to go and remind you all of this website. I've referenced this once before, and this is a website by Reporters Without Borders. You can see up in this left-hand corner. It's a survey or an analysis of the reliability, essentially the reliability of reporting from different countries based on their openness to outside journalists. Reporters go around the world to try and report news and trying to get accurate news, but it depends on those governments in whose countries they're trying to get and report. Obviously, you can send undercover agents to report news, but this is based on the government's knowledge of the journalists coming in and how open they are. But before I read this article, share this video and subscribe. Subscriptions are going up. That's a good thing. You're in on the ground floor of a growing movement here on Sovereign Artsakh. Yes, my mission here is to get recognition internationally by the international community for statehood, for Artsakh, for sovereignty, that Artsakh can be its own nation, not to unite it with Armenia, but to be its own independent nation. That's the solution, and that's really the solution for the whole world. If we recognize one another and treat each other with respect as sovereign nations, as sovereign individuals, then we will live in peace and harmony. All right. Armenia, Artsakh ombudsman release ad hoc report on Azerbaijani attacks on journalists. This is a short article I'll read. Just below is the joint report. On September 27th, Azerbaijan launched a large-scale offensive against the Republic of Artsakh, during which a large number of towns and villages have been targeted, including Stepanakert, the capital of Artsakh. Since the beginning, September 27th, till the end, November 10th, of the hostilities, over 390 foreign journalists from over 190 media have flown into Artsakh to cover the war and the consequent developments. The flow of journalists to Artsakh has been considerably increased following the Azerbaijani authorities' decision to limit the arrival of journalists from several countries, to impose strict restrictions on the independent work of the journalists. For example, journalists from the Russian media outlet Life News were deported from Azerbaijan, since, according to Azerbaijani authorities, they were distorting the facts. The journalists further stated that it was not advisable for Russian journalists to operate in Azerbaijan. The reporter of the news agency France 24, Catherine Norris-Trent, said that the Azerbaijani government monitors their movements and violated their rights to cover the developments on the ground. She stated that they are followed by government escorts who intervene whenever they talk to civilians. The Azerbaijani authorities have also filed a criminal case against the Russian reporter Semyon Pegov of Wargonzo for visiting Artsakh. Besides, the Azerbaijani authorities have publicly stated that they cannot ensure the safety of journalists covering the hostilities in Nagorno-Karabakh, adding that journalists should request permission from the Azerbaijani authorities before entering Nagorno-Karabakh. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Artsakh stated that it has information about special groups that have been formed by Azerbaijan to monitor the movement and activities of foreign journalists in Artsakh to deliver target attacks. In parallel with that, the Azerbaijani armed forces for a few times targeted journalists working in Artsakh and caused 7 heavy injuries among them and a death of a person accompanying journalists. The Human Rights Ombudsman of Artsakh has monitored the developments since the onset of the hostilities. The targeted nature of the shellings, including those against journalists, were also proven by the fact that the journalists wore a special uniform and distinctive signs, as well as, mostly with cameras. The journalistic cars that came under the shelling also had the press distinctive sign. Moreover, the journalists were targeted when they were carrying out their professional activities in civilian settlements and not in the hotspots of hostilities. Now, first of all, let me say, if you're a journalist going into a war-torn region, get ready to face hostilities. I mean, you're going into a war-torn region, and so you just should expect potential death, right? I mean, you are risking your life, and that's what journalism should be about. I mean, there are those who risk their lives to get us the news, and so you should expect it, but you shouldn't expect it. At the same time, it should be, there are rules to war, right? The international community has established there's certain types of weapons you can't use, and there's certain things you shouldn't do to other human beings or prisoners of war, and right, those are all ideals. If we're all civilized, right? If we all have the same base worldview that human beings have value, right? That human life is valuable, and that's civilization assumes those things. But when you are at war with other worldviews, which is very often, other worldviews are no, not all humans have value. Women aren't as valuable as men in some cultures, and the elderly are not as valuable as the young in some cultures, and certain ethnic minorities are not as valuable as other ethnic, or the ethnic majority in many nations. And so it is an ideal that is not observed, and that's what we're facing here. Azerbaijan does not value human life, and they certainly don't want the truth to get out because of that. Right? They don't value Armenian lives, and they don't want the press reporting to the world that they're the aggressors. And that, yes, this is an Armenian news source, but you're certainly not going to hear it from an Azerbaijani news source, right? It's like it's within the definition of propaganda. And again, I refer back to these black, the black colored countries. Let's see if I click find out more. This is Azerbaijan. It's hope quickly dashed. Not content with crushing all forms of pluralism, President Ilham Aliyev has been waging a relentless war against his remaining critics since 2014. Independent journalists and bloggers are jailed on absurd grounds if they do not first yield to harassment, blackmail, or bribes. The hopes raised in late 2019 by the dismissal of presidential advisor Ali Hazanov regarded as the media's censor-in-chief, and by announcement of major reforms, were quickly dashed in early 2020 by the post-election crackdown on journalists who had tried to cover electoral fraud and opposition rallies. The main independent news website are blocked in a bid. Okay, so this gives you an example of why Azerbaijan ranks at the bottom of trustworthy news sources, because they are overtly hostile to journalists there. And again, let me show you this list over here on the right. There's 180 nations. It's not every nation on the planet. There's like 190 something, or maybe just in the low 200s. I don't know exactly how many nations there are, but this lists most of them. And of course, North Korea is at the very bottom. And then China is 177, but not too far from the bottom are Azerbaijan at 168 and Turkey at 154. So they are all in black, which indicates that they do not like outside news sources coming in to report on the truth. They don't want people coming in to find out what they're really doing. And I focus a lot on China because they are currently committing genocide against their ethnic minorities. Uyghur Muslims and religious minorities, Falun Gong practitioners, and some Christians as well. Well, that is genocide happening today, and that's why I focus on them, because my study of the Armenian genocide has shown me the tactics that are employed every time a genocide is deployed or enacted, and the very beginning of it is propaganda. Don't let the world see what you're doing. All right, that's it. Share this video, subscribe. We need to get the news out, get the word out, and this is just an explanatory video. It's another one of the proofs to demonstrate that it's incumbent upon us to spread the word, so pass the word along. Share, subscribe, click like, comment. Oh, and click the notification bell.